Welcome to Whisperwood Stories. Today, we read 3 stories from r/paranormal. Let's begin. Our first story is from WrittenByJxx. For privacy reasons, I'm going to be calling myself Bree. So this was about 4 to 5 years ago. Not too sure about the dates, but here's what happened. I went away for my parents' friend's birthday. We went to a place in Italy. I can't remember the location where we stopped, but we all slept in this old cottage, and the owner lived next door. Everything was okay for a day. Then weird things started to happen. For instance, I'd go to sleep. I'd close the bathroom door, and when I woke up, it would be open slightly with the light on. It was just small stuff like that. Anyways, let's get to the day where it would get even weirder. So everything was going good this one particular day. Small things were happening in my bedroom, but I thought nothing of it. We went out for the day, came back, had some food, then chilled. Fast forward to nighttime. I did what I did every night, then went to sleep. I closed the bathroom door and turned the light off, then fell asleep. Next thing I know, I wake up and heard a little girl's voice saying, "Help me." I tried to get back to sleep, but noticed the bathroom door was open slightly and the light was on. I left it like that and went back to sleep. I woke up again to the same voice saying, "Help me, please." She sounded young, like 7 or maybe 8. I stayed awake as I couldn't fall back to sleep. I was genuinely terrified. I managed to entertain myself when I heard the voice shout, "Bree," continuously. I tried getting back to sleep, but just couldn't. This all continued to happen, and it was 5 a.m. before I shouted for my dad. I told him everything that had happened, and he said that nobody in the room had heard anything. Let me help you picture how the room was laid out. The door was on the far left side of the room. The bed was placed in the middle, between the side table and door. The bathroom door was on the right-hand side of my room, on the wall next to me, if that makes sense. Anyways, as the day went on, I was more and more scared and didn't want to stay in the room any longer. Later on that day, the owner of the cottage's grandson came to visit. They had a swing outside the front, so me and the boy decided to go swing and talk. I mentioned what happened, and he said that when he had stayed in the cottage once, he heard his name being called, and the same situation happened to him. The rest of the time we were at the cottage, I kept away from that room and nothing more happened. I haven't been back since, and now I'd love to, as I'm fascinated with the paranormal. Also, just so nobody can say it was probably someone playing a prank on me, it was confirmed by the owner that there was a little ghost girl in that room I slept in, who is known to say people's names but is completely harmless. That was it. I know it wasn't long, but I find this fascinating and wanted to share it. Thank you. Have a good day. Our second story is from razydreams. I wanted to make a little warning before telling my story. I'll give you some of the details before I explain, because they have connections with the event that I have experienced. This is important for narration. I was 12 to 13 years old at the time. We were poor, as long as I remember, and We have always lived in the rented houses on the ground level or garden floor. We were 5 siblings. 1 girl is married, but my 3 brothers and 1 sister are living together. I was the smallest of them all. One day we moved to an old apartment. It was a 4-story building with 4 flats. The apartment we were in had a high entrance. There are flats at the garden level and 2 more flats above us. After a small corridor from the apartment entrance, our apartment door is to the left. Inside the house, there is a corridor after the entrance door. Then there is a small room to the left. My older brother and I share this room. There is a big hall just opposite the entrance door. My mother and father stay in there. As you turn right in the hallway, on the left is our kitchen. At the end of the corridor, just opposite of the bathroom, to the left of the big room, my little brother stayed. There is another small room to the right, with a balcony. The end of the balcony joins with the wall of my brother's room. My little sister was staying in this one. I usually close the door of my own room when I go to sleep, but that night I left it open for some reason. My bed is right across from this doorway. That night, while I was sleeping, I woke up to a voice I heard in the house. I'm very sure that I was awake. When I looked out the door, 5 to 6 little short things were in front of my door and looking towards me and laughing and pointing at me. They are like gnomes, but with dark beards. They are called Djinn in my culture. I asked them, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" I shout, and they continue to laugh at me. You could call it childish courage or ignorance perhaps. But I got up from the bed, and they disappeared suddenly as I was going over to them. I listened carefully for their voices, and they started to come back from the end of the hallway. These little bastards started laughing again. I went out into the hallway, turned my head to the hall door. I saw my mother, who was standing at the door watching them. I asked her, "Mom, who are they? Look, what are they doing at our home?" She was dead silent, but her eyes were wide, eyebrows raised. She started looking at me right in the eyes. As I walked towards them down the hallway, these things quickly entered my sister's room. I called to my mother, "Mom, come. They are in Fatime's room, my sister." She was standing still and continued to look at me without blinking, with the exact same face. I entered the room. My sister was sleeping, but the balcony door was open, and they were standing there, still laughing at the balcony. I ran to the balcony this time, hoping to catch them, but they entered through the wall and disappeared. I was shocked and stayed there some time, still as a stone. I woke up in the morning and continued my normal life. I have tried to ask my mother about that night, but I didn't know how to ask. 2 days have passed, but strange things were still going on at the house. I was hearing the same shouts of laughter, but too scared to wake my brother. Some objects started to go missing even. I was 100% sure that the object was there just 2 seconds ago. I have talked with my siblings about this event, and it turns out that I was not the only person who was experiencing this kind of stuff and not losing my mind. I finally told my parents at dinner that there were ghosts living in our apartment, and we needed to move from there. My mother was listening to me with a shocked face and wide eyes. My father said he hadn't heard anything, and that we were imagining things. There was nowhere else we could go at the moment. The conversation was over. I asked my mom after dinner, "What happened that night? Did you see them?" She said that she didn't see or hear anything, but I feel like she was saying that to make me less scared. I asked again if she was awake or not that night. She shook her head without any reply. Later, my brother said that he saw the incident exactly as I did, but he could not describe it because of the fear, and he tried to forget. We moved out from that house 2 months later after I told my parents. My mother later said that she tried hard to persuade my father to move from that house. Our last story is from Several Pollution. My sister is convinced that something paranormal is going on in the house, and I don't know what to think. We moved into this house in January, and it is at least 150 years old. I don't know if that has anything to do with this, but I felt like including it. My oldest sister and youngest sister share the same bedroom next to mine on the second floor. Both of my sisters are the only ones who have heard things, but my older sister has seen and felt things too. I'll start with the first event. Just for context, we live on a 20-acre farm with all of the buildings at the front of the property and nothing but fields in the back and sides. My older sister was doing the dishes in early March, just as it was getting dark, and she looked into the northern field by the woods and swore she saw an extremely tall, skinny, inhuman thing standing there, looking at her. She says she only saw it for a second before it vanished. Then, a couple of weeks later, she saw it again, this time peering into the bathroom window, which is too tall for any human to get there without making a noise. There was nothing else for a couple of days. Next was the noise. First, it was gentle thuds in the area outside of our rooms. Then footsteps in the center of the room, seemingly going in circles anywhere from 1 to 4 a.m. They always know if it's me coming out of my room and tell me if it's happened so far. I'm always asleep by 1:30 every night, and my door gets stuck, so we both know it can't be me. It progressed to footsteps in my room from 2 to 3. The layout of my older and younger sister's room is that the door is in a different place, in the bottom left corner with the closet on the other side of the wall. Their bed is in the center of the wall on the right. They have a bunk bed with shelves and cabinets on the side furthest from the closet, which creates a blind spot. They hear something walk there. Next is the touching. My older sister said that when she would look at the closet, she would hear it walk behind her, and when she would look away from the closet, it would poke her on the head. One night, she turned quickly and looked at the closet and saw something move. My younger sister had fallen asleep on the floor and was still there. My older sister went downstairs to sleep, and she saw it in the corner, but it disappeared just as quickly as it did the first time. It then grabbed her legs multiple times throughout the night. This has happened more since then. I just need some answers. Thank you for listening to Whisperwood Stories. If you enjoyed, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe down below. Do you have a story that you'd like me to read here? Do you have a recommendation for a subreddit you'd like read here? Consider sending it to whisperwoodsubmissions@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and be sure to check out the original Reddit posts. Don't let the shadows get too close.